What ketamine did was it took the knots out of my brain so I can think straight. I can think in tunnel vision of my goals, things that I want. And it took me to that door. It took me to that door where I had an opportunity. I had a choice. I either walk through this door and take a leap of faith, just like, Christianity and God, you have to take a leap of faith and believing in God and everything like that. It brought me to that door of, are you going to take this leap of faith and walk through this door and discover the new you? Or are you going to go back to the old you? You're going to go back to the same you? Are you going to just stand at that door and wait? And what are you waiting for? How much time do you really think you have on this earth? These are questions running through my head.
Welcome to the My Self Wellness Podcast. I'm Charles Patti, the founder and CEO of My Self Wellness, along with my co-founder, Christina Thomas. 9 years ago, I began my journey to self-awareness and healing. Like many who have faced personal struggles, I felt lost and battled to find recovery. It wasn't until I discovered alternative healing methods that I began to see a real change in my life. This show will help you unlock your true potential through healthy lifestyle practices and transformations. Join us as we explore personal stories, expert advice, and practical tips to help you step into your true potential and level up. Welcome to the My Self Wellness Podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the My Self Wellness Podcast. Today, we are back again with Mr. Ricky Haas. Should I say Rick or Ricky?
It doesn't matter to me. I grew up going by Ricky. Rick is like my business name. That's like when you hear Rick, it's usually I'm in a deal, I'm negotiating, very stern, but usually friends call me Ricky.
I was going to start it over again, but we don't need to. That was awesome.
Or I can just do this.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, the one and only Rick Haas, Marzuk Real Estate, Coastline Luxury Group, Haas Homes, 239 Live. I don't know how many more other businesses I'm a part of, but we are here at the My Self Wellness Podcast with my boy, Charles. Let's go. Part 2.
Go. And it's part 2. I think this is the first part 2 that I've ever done.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. I watched a lot of your episodes and I haven't seen a part 2, but I had to talk about what's going on.
I mean, and that's exciting. It's like, listen, like this is a great testament for people because a lot of the time I get the questions, well, what happens, to people, 6 months after they do the treatments, or does it, does it wear off and things like that? Or does it keep getting better? Cause I know with me, I've continuously evolved and got better and better and better. And I know you've done more than the initial 6 treatments since you started the journey, but I don't know, like, let's kind of tap into like, what's new with you, man? Like, what's going on? How's life? How has everything evolved from before we first started treating you, man?
I mean, life is changed completely. My brain has been rewired, things that I didn't think I would be getting into. I'm getting into things I'm doing, and all positive things, nothing negative. It's been an incredible journey, and it's like you said, one shoe size doesn't fit all. And I remember you saying that in the last podcast that we did together, and you're completely right. It's different for everybody. And you also told me after my very first session in the very beginning, you said the work comes in the weeks to follow. The work comes in the months to follow. Sometimes even years. Everybody's a little different with their thought process and how they work through things. So it's been an incredible journey. And, I thought after the 6th treatment that it was a game changer. And I went back and watched the last episode this week, and it was like, I saw my excitement. And I remember saying, I want to see how much further I can go. And the last treatment I did when I was at the last episode with you it was right after the 8th treatment. So since then I've done number 9, and about a month ago I did number 10. And it's like you said, it's different for everybody. There's not, when I very first got into doing this with you and experiencing the whole ketamine process and treatment and how it rewires the brain and helps you out with your thought process and clears the skies in your mind. When I did the first treatment, I was nervous, I was scared, I didn't know what was going on. But I knew I wanted change. And you told me, you said, just hang in there, you're an onion, layers are coming off. And I didn't really realize that until weeks after the 10th treatment. So now it's been about a month after the 10th treatment, and I can still see I'm still putting in work. I'm still doing things to put myself in a better position in life with God, family, friends, work, all that kind of stuff. And so it's been an incredible journey since then. And I've felt like I've been floating around, and I knew I had to come back on and talk to you about it.
One thing that you just brought up, and I want to ask you before we get into all the other cool questions I have for you about what's going on, you brought up your relationship with God. And I was having a conversation with a guy who's thinking that he's doing treatment, or he's thinking about doing treatments the other day. And he's like, listen, man, he's like, my relationship with God is so solid. It's like God is everything to me. And I don't want these treatments to change that. How do you feel like your relationship with God has been since you've actually done the treatments?
So God is my forefront. You know, we all make mistakes in life, and you know, I'm not coming on here saying I'm perfect or anything. I'm far from it. I'm not the poster of perfect at all. But you know, to be Christ-like is to not be perfect. It's to strive every day to become more like Christ. To not just be a good person, but mean it, say it, and show it with your passion for helping other people. And so I thought the same thing with through the treatments. How is this going to affect, you know, my belief system? How is this going to affect my Christianity? How I act? You know, I was scared going into it, thinking the same exact things that your friend was thinking. And honestly, what it does, and it's not, and for you guys listening out there that's thinking about this process of ketamine, the treatments and everything. When I first got into it, I was like, oh, I'm going to take a chemical that's going to change my brain, and that's not what happens. It's the work after that changes what you get yourself into, the people you surround yourself, the habits you create. And so I thought the same thing. I thought, is this going to change my relationship with God? Is this going to change how I view God, how I think about God? Am I going to see God in these visions and get terrified? Am I going to be happy? So there's a lot of things that was running through my mind, just like him. And honestly, it's cleared out a lot of things in my mind. It's cleared out a lot of those clouds, a lot of those doubts, and it's brought me closer to God because I'm more clear about the things I believe in. I'm more clear about the person I want to be. I'm much more clear about my path. Whereas before, I was letting those clouds change my judgment and control me in a certain way. Whereas now those clouds are not there, and it's much easier to focus on the things I want and to be closer to God. So to answer that question in the short form, it's made me closer to God because I know what's important. I know my relationship with God is number one. There's no more doubts. There's no more clouds blocking that.
I love that, man. That's beautiful. Another thing I wanted to ask you is when when I first did the treatments, right? And like when you're getting into the sessions, a lot of the processing that's happening is the outer layers of the onion that we need to peel away, right? And this might even go back to like, and I'm not saying this is yours, but just like in general, like maybe like a traumatic experience or something we need to process from the past so we can kind of move forward. After you did the initial treatments and you started moving into the other ones that you've been doing, like maybe treatments 9 and 10, how was that different from when you actually first started the treatments? Was it like a different layer of healing or a different layer of eye-opening experiences that might have helped propel you forward in a different direction?
Yeah. Honestly, it came in, for me, it came in twos. I know it's a little different for everybody. And I know I talked about it on the last podcast with like the experiences, but the first two were kind of introduction of the clouds. It was kind of introducing me to the clouds, the what's going on in my head as far as trauma, all that kind of stuff. 3 and 4 were working through it. 3 and 4 were probably, in my opinion, the tougher ones because 3 and 4 made you face the things that those knots in your brain that's blocking you from your true power, from your success, from your ability to to be better for others, for yourself. So 3 and 4 were the tough ones. 3 and 4, I felt more mentally drained after 3 and 4 because I was working. You're in it. You can't fight it. I know number 3, as soon as I felt myself going into it, I was like, nope, nope, I'm out. And I was probably about 12 seconds where ketamine's like, nope, nope, you're in. And so I just didn't fight it. And I said, okay, well, I trust Charles and his team. And I know I'll land safely back on planet Earth, but I gotta let this go and let this ride and let this happen. And so 3 and 4 were tough because it forced you to work through those things. And after 3 and 4, it wasn't like I worked through them and all of a sudden I'm cured, I'm better. 3 and 4 were tough because it made me, at least personally me, it made me face things that I did not want to face. I buried down. I'm like, nope, I can keep throwing dirt on top of that, and that will never surface. And it was like someone came and dug up all the trauma, the skeletons, everything that I had to face in order to move to that next level. So 3 and 4 were tough. 5 and 6 were kind of like a celebration of like, whew, we made it through 4 and 3. It was a celebration. It was exciting. I remember after number 6, and I know your initial package that you offer is the 6, and that's what I wanted to do. And it's maybe you don't need 6, maybe you need 5, maybe you need 7, maybe you need 10. And after 5 and 6 were celebratory, kind of like seeing the light at the end of that tunnel, whereas 3 and 4, you were in the darkness, you were fighting it. And 5 and 6 was seeing the light. 7 and 8, I remember, and that's where I stopped when we did the last podcast, was right after 8. 7 and 8 were giving me wings. It was allowing me to, I just hit the light at the end of the tunnel, and I was seeing life new for the first time. And one of the things I was trying to do was I was trying to find an old version of myself that made me happy. But the truth is, I don't think you don't want to find an older version of yourself. I was searching through these treatments, especially after 7 and 8. I was searching for, let me find that older version of myself in my 20s that was happy and stress-free. But really, I was looking for the wrong thing, because what I was looking for was right in front of me, which was a new version, a version I haven't fully stepped into yet, fully grown into yet. And just like you said, the work comes in the weeks to follow. It's not, you're not gonna, for all these of you out there that are thinking, oh, I'm gonna take a treatment and then next day I'm gonna win the lottery and become the most successful person in the world. It's not how it works. It's what you do after. And there's four places I keep myself in every day to keep myself growing. And then once I hit 9, to finish up the three package that you have, the 3 treatment. Once I hit 9, I felt really good. I was happy. I was coming out of it floating, knowing that there's more clarity of this new version that I haven't fully stepped into yet. It was kind of like being reborn. It was almost the same, with like being baptized. And I felt like there was like this new version that I'm stepping into for the first time. I was excited. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know. It's kind of like learning everything, reading learning how to reread all over again. And then I hit 10. And 10 was amazing. I think if we went back and looked at the footage of my room, I think I was dancing at one point in the chair. I think I was like losing my mind. Like I was smiling, dancing, because it's like 10 for me was, now I'm getting comfortable with this new version. 9 was the introduction. 7 and 8 were like, whoa, who is this? 9 was the introduction, and 10 was like, I'm stepping into these shoes of this new person. And honestly, after 10, I think it was probably, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks ago or so. Yeah, maybe 6 weeks ago. After I did 10, I went into it very selfishly. I went into number 10 saying, this is all for me. I'm going full throttle through this one because I know what to expect. Basically a veteran now at what to expect. So I'm going full throttle into this, and I'm just letting my body go to where I need to step into these new shoes of my new self. And 10 was absolutely amazing. And like I said, you don't know how many you need until you put those shoes on of your new version. And number 10 is where I put those new shoes on.
I love that, man. And I love something that you spoke about where it was like a rebirth. It was like a birth to a new you. And that one of the things a lot of people don't know is that the my self wellness symbol that kind of looks like the labyrinth is actually an ancient symbol for rebirth. And I had this epiphany the other night. I was meditating on the couch and I was just kind of like hanging out and processing and doing some like reflection too at the same time. And there's a version of me that's dead now, or not, it's just not here anymore. And it's that unhealed version of me that I was caught in this constant loop of for years and years and years. And nothing like good, none of my good parts went anywhere. It's like whatever was good, I held on to, and it's enhanced since then. And I've grown into and stepped into these new shoes, kind of like you were saying. But like, I feel like that's what happens with people a lot of the time is we're caught in this karmic loop and this loop of being this same individual because we're going through we're going through our days and we're going through life, but we haven't really healed through or leveled up through what we needed to that was holding us back. So it's like it's putting a halt on our growth spiritually, mentally, and even sometimes physically, because once you feel better about all of those other things, now you're taking better care of yourself too. And I think that like that's what these kind of treatments did for me was it it made me really start the evolution of who I needed to become and step into and level up into that individual where it's like I remember that guy, but I'm just not him anymore, man. What do you feel?
I feel exactly the same way. It's a complete rebirth. It's when you go through these treatments, you need time to be able to work through it. Like I said, going back to 3 and 4, those were still the toughest ones to this day. Number 10's, I would say 7, 8, 9, and 10 were celebrations. It was like a party that was going on in my head. It was like me with this new version of myself. It was just like a celebration, right? Where 3 and 4 was tough. So when 3 and 4 happened, and I'm still, it's not like I'm at the finish line. I know there's more work to be done in my head, and I continue to strive for it every day. But 3 and 4 were tough because those traumas came to the surface. So you have to fight them, but it takes time. It takes time to work through this stuff. And I do feel reborn. I feel anew. I feel like I'm relearning everything for the first time. I'm relearning because it's a complete new version that happens. It's not, there is no like this old different happy version of myself that I was searching for. That doesn't exist because that's in the past, right? We only have the present right now to focus on and hopes for the future. And so that person's the person before this version that I stepped into is dead. And it's not maybe not necessarily in my mind it's dead. I know I can always go back to that if I wanted to, right? It's almost like an addiction, right? You can go back to a previous version of yourself, but when you're stepping into, this new version of yourself, there's no looking back. It's like there's a reason why the rearview mirror is much smaller than the windshield, right? Yeah. And I don't even look back at the version I was before myself as something I strive for, something I want to be like. And another thing that 9 and 10 helped me do was cut something that I was using as a clutch, which was alcohol. I would, and it's not that I would drink every day or anything like that. It was more so, when I did, sometimes I didn't know how to stop, right, in that moment. So I might only drink, 2 times a week, but each time I didn't know how to stop myself from, not being able to be in a good place, right? So that was one of the things, and I haven't, I think maybe in the last 6 weeks since my 10th treatment, I've maybe drank twice, maybe. Haven't drank for a couple weeks, but it was one of those things where it was like a celebratory thing. I had like a closing or something like that. But it wasn't like out of necessity. Whereas before, I would feel like I would need that to numb pain, to numb things. And I always use that, and it's an easy thing to use, it's an easy thing to get. It's got to be 21. I'm well over 21. So it was one of those things that I used, but 9 and 10 took away that desire for alcohol as a crutch to cover up pain, to cover up the traumatic experiences that I went through. So 3 and 4 brought those out, and I've still been working through them and dealing with them. Um, but at time from time, I would say I don't feel like feeling like this, so I'd use alcohol. But since 9 and 10, that's not been the case. So I would say the last 2 months, it's not been a desire as far as something to use to numb anything.
I like that. And like this is something that I talk about too, where listen, like I don't personally drink, but like I don't care if people drink,
Mhm.
and I think like from what I've observed is and what I know from my own personal life too is that things become more intentional after you heal. Like and things become more intentional after ketamine, where sometimes people come in and they're just like, listen, like, I don't want to quit drinking. Like, that's not what I'm here for. And I like my alcohol. I don't want to take it out of my life. And I'm like, it doesn't mean that's what's going to happen to you. It just means that maybe your alcohol consumption will go down some because you're actually using it with a different intention and you're going out to have a glass of wine because you want to enjoy it with your dinner, or you're going out to celebrate something or something like that, where it's not the crutch anymore. It's not something I have to rely on to get through my days or to make me social in certain settings or whatever. And so, like, I love that you touched on that because that's how things went for me, where, like, even at the beginning, where before I did my treatments, I was using tons of medical cannabis, like
Mhm.
so much. It was like every single day. It was like how I started my day, how I went through my day, how I ended my day. And after I did the treatments, it was like for a while there, I used it more intentionally because it wasn't doing the same thing that had did for me anymore. I wasn't using it as a crutch or to self-medicate my PTSD anymore.
Mhm.
It was like, oh, I'm just going to use a little bit and I'm going to use it as a tool for meditation or something like that. And so it's like it really changes the way that people are using different substances that people might be using as crutches, and it becomes something completely different.
100%. You just touched on it, which was the lack of that desire that I've had to use alcohol as a clutch, which is the purpose, right? The ketamine treatments, what it helped do was it helped clear my mind and really create and it wasn't just the ketamine, it was 100% God, because I was praying through these treatments. My support system was praying through my treatments with me. They're real close people. I didn't publicly go out and announce, hey, I'm doing ketamine treatments. This was for me, so it was more of a personal thing. So only very close people to me knew what I was doing, and it's exactly what you said. It was the purpose. So after these treatments, the purpose in the very beginning, it was like being in a Florida rain cloud, which for those of you that have never been in a Florida rainstorm, it is dark, it's murky out, you can't see. And if you are not from, little side note, if you guys are not from Florida and it's raining out and you're on the highway, please pull over because us Floridians do know how to drive through that. We just go really fast and hope we make it with our lights off. So if you're not from here, please get off the highway because we still have some places to go, even if it's raining really hard. But anyway, that's what my brain was like before the first treatment. And after each treatment, another cloud went away, another cloud went away. So you really don't know how many treatments you need until those clouds are gone and it's a clear blue sky, right? So after each treatment, I had more and more purpose of what I want to do, my goals that I wanted to accomplish before my head got so dark and cloudy. And so everything became more and more purposeful. And after number 10, when I slipped on those new shoes and the skies were blue and clear, I knew what my purpose was. I knew what I had to do. So, and one of the things that wasn't a part of my purpose anymore was alcohol. It didn't make me more successful. It didn't make relationships, friendships better. And so I said, if I'm spending time putting something in my body, because you still got to spend time to go to a bar, go somewhere and drink, right? That time that I'm spending doing that, I can spend more on the little bit of time you have on this earth, which is with family, with its friends, my career. Um, and so it didn't become part of my purpose. That part of that purpose, that part of the old me that needed that was dead. So it wasn't like, it's not even something I think of. And I mean, I do use medical cannabis because I do have Crohn's disease, and it helps with like appetite and sleep and, um, not feeling sick and things like that. But even before ketamine treatments, even, in my early 20s when I was touring with a national band, I would use it recreationally. I didn't think how to use it. It wasn't like, oh, I feel sick, I'm gonna use it. I'm just gonna use it because it's 9 a.m. I'm gonna use it because, whatever time. And so there's no purpose with it. But even after the ketamine treatments, not only did alcohol and, alcohol become less purposeful for my journey from the direction I want to go in. And it's like when those skies get clear, it's tunnel vision. You're focused on your path. You're focused on what you need to accomplish, what you want to be great at. And alcohol didn't become part of that purpose anymore. And the way I used medical marijuana or medical cannabis, we should say, is not recreational like it used to be in my 20s. It's more purposeful. I'm not going out getting like stoned throughout the day or anything like that. I'm using it to be able to go to sleep when I have real bad appetite problems, or if I get real bad pain in my stomach, and I'm using it purposefully.
Yeah, with
So I
intention.
think that's, with intention. There's no ill intention. There's no, I'm just going to do this because I feel like doing this now. It's all intentional and it's all purposeful. And once you hit that stage, after whatever number treatment that may be, for some people it's different, right? For me, it was truly after number 10 when I slipped on those new shoes, and the purpose becomes driven. It becomes something that you want to wake up and you're excited to do every day. Now I don't wake up and I'm like, oh, it's Monday. Now I wake up and I'm like, it's Monday, let's go.
Yes, I love that.
So
When you were talking about the rains and the clouds in the sky, all I could think of was, I can see clearly now the rain has gone. Ketamine, right?
love it. Love it. That is the commercial right
That's the
there.
commercial right there. And I can relate to you on this level too, where it's funny because I used to like take drugs and drink excessively, and I was always looking to feel like this more powerful, confident version of myself. And it's like, this is who I really am, right? I just don't feel this way when when I don't have liquid courage in me or something. And it's funny because healing with ketamine and psychedelics, it brought me to the version that I was aspiring to be like, feeling confident like that on all of those other substances without having to take anything.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, this is who I was meant to be the entire time. And this feels so good and so much better than any way that I've felt up to this point. Now it's all about the level up, because if I can take it this far, how far can I take it? And so it's what you were talking about. I don't want to take anything that's going to bring me backwards. I'm trying to move forwards. I'm moving forwards. That's how I feel. It's, what do I have to cut out of the equation now to make me an even better version of myself, and continuously keep that ball rolling? One thing that people get frustrated with when they're going through these treatments is they're like, well, I feel really better and I'm feeling good, but I still have so many things that I need to work on. And it's like, it's an evolution. This is what we're talking about here. It's like, I did the treatments, I continuously kept improving, I kept the ball rolling in the right direction. And it's been, years since I've done ketamine, but it's because I continuously keep on doing the work. And it seems like that's exactly what you're doing too. You continuously keep on doing the work and evolving into this leveled up version of you, man. Since you've done the treatments and since you've continuously worked on yourself, so it's like this, what do you what's happened in your life where you were just like, wow, not even directly as from the treatments, but just like what's been happening in Ricky Haas's life where you're just like, this is the level up, man. I've arrived at a new level.
So, you know, I would have to say going back to what you were saying where, people felt good right after, the treatment. They're like, oh, I feel great. I feel good. That's exactly how I felt. I felt those couple days after the treatment, it's, it is like it's a body dopamine high where you are on another cloud. You're on another level of rediscovering yourself and figuring out, the things you've done in your past and how you can work through them and how you can be a better person, how you can grow from it. Right. So I did feel that like mentality high throughout the next couple days of after doing the treatment, right after doing the treatment. But the weeks that I put in after the 10th treatment, the time that I put in between each treatment, and that's where my 4 safe places that I've developed that I keep myself in at all times. And the work comes after. You know, ketamine for me, it took me to that door. And, ketamine wasn't like a force pushing me through that door saying, hey, this is the new you. This is what you're going to be. I'm changing your brain. No, what ketamine did was it took the knots out of my brain so I can think straight. I can think in tunnel vision of my goals, things that I want. And it took me to that door. It took me to that door where I had an opportunity. I had a choice. I either walk through this door and take a leap of faith, just like, Christianity and God, you have to take a leap of faith and believing in God and everything like that. It brought me to that door of, are you going to take this leap of faith and walk through this door and discover the new you? Or are you going to go back to the old you? You're going to go back to the same you? Are you going to just stand at that door and wait? And what are you waiting for? How much time do you really think you have on this earth? These are questions running through my head at that moment when I was at that door, right? And that door didn't come while I was doing ketamine, not even the couple days after. It was the weeks after. It was the weeks that followed. And it's so beautiful. I'm still working through it. I'm still working through fine tuning this new version and direction I want to go in. And it's what's changed in my life is my purpose. What I want to accomplish is so much more clear. And that's number one reason I cut alcohol out, because it's not benefiting me. It's not doing anything. If it was like I drank and all of a sudden I did another real estate deal, okay, that would be different, but that's not how that works, right? And so when I cut that out, that brought me even closer to God. Because, alcohol is not one of those things if you drink and get closer to God, you might have a problem. That might be something a little different than we're talking about today. But, it never brought me closer. It wasn't like, I took a shot of tequila and I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's do some Bible stuff, right? It brought me further away. I even talked about that in 2 Peter in the Bible, where you can't even talk about the Bible unless you have a clear mind. You have you don't have like alcohol or anything in your system, in your body, and talk about God. You have to have a clear mind, right? And so that's why I kicked that, is because, it's not benefiting my purpose. It's not benefiting. As soon as I did that, I became even closer to God. I found myself going to more Bible studies, and my Tuesday morning Bible study is my support system that I've had throughout this. And that's very important to, me, I'm a very quiet person in my personal life. And this was probably something I wouldn't tell a lot of people, but I did, because I'm like, you know what? I need a support system. I remember talking with you and talking with a shaman and some of your staff about that. They were like, it's important to have, a support system. So if there's a few people, you should probably tell them. Plus, you're going to need a ride. There's no way you're driving out of here, which there's no way. It's like coming off a year-long cruise ship where you got sea legs. There's no way you could even feel the pedal. And so I told a few people, and my support system has been what's not only helped me grow closer to God in the weeks, but they've stuck with me. They haven't gone anywhere. My parents, my ex-girlfriend, my close friends and Rock Republic and my band and stuff like that I grew up with, and my partners at my company, my real estate company. Those were the only people that really knew what was going on in my life, but they're the closest people, the people I see every day. So they are my support system. I have tons of friends outside of that, but those are the real close people that know me, know my past, know my heart, know my loyalty, know where I want to go, right? So that support system right there never left me. They picked me up after treatments. They were always asking me questions, how it's going, where did you go, and they were always there supporting me, always making sure. So shout out to my support system. You guys have been absolutely amazing through this, and you're still there, still asking me, how it's going weeks after. So the support system helped me bring everything, honestly, with these treatments has brought me closer to God. And the 4 places that I stay in all throughout the day, and I would recommend anybody that's ever gone through these treatments, find your safe places, find these safe places. And if you can create a habit of keeping yourself in these safe places throughout the day, every day, and do it for 30 days, watch your life change. Watch the blessings rain down. And especially if you're a Christian, God's up in heaven, and he's holding all these blessings, and he wants to give it to you. He wants to give it to you, but then he's like, "Oh, Ricky, you just did that. I can't give you this blessing." And our pastor at our Tuesday morning Bible studies always brings that analogy up. And so I always think about that in my head, like, what am I doing that's going to help others? What am I going to do that's going to bring me closer to God each day? What am I going to do that's going to make me a better, newer version of myself that's not the old me, that's not that nasty, clouded version that I'll never go back to, of course. And I don't want to go back to. There's no desire whatsoever. So what happened the weeks after, what's been going on in my life, has been absolutely amazing. And the 4 safe places, I go to the beach and I read. I've actually finished a few books now, which you asked me that in my 20s if I was ever going to read a book, I'd say absolutely not. And I didn't think that, I didn't have an imagination when it came to reading, whereas throughout the treatments and praying and everything like that, I have more imagination. I finished Atomic Habits and finally The 4 Agreements, which awesome books. And that's the work right there that you were talking about that you're putting in after. Just reading positive journey books and stuff like that, positive habits. That's part of the work after these treatments. So the beach was one of them. I still go down there a few times a week, pray, meditate, listen to nature, right? It's one of my safe places. My other safe place is music. I love being involved in music, running sound for Rock Republic, Good Intentions. Recently, I just joined the 239 Live group as a co-producer and co-host on the show, which, if you asked me if I was ever going to be a co-host on any sort of show, I'd say no. So it's led me to those opportunities and those people I surround myself with that also don't drink. So it's easier to go out and have a Sprite and be like, those people look like idiots, I'm going home. Yeah. Right? So the people I surrounded myself with, they do a lot of the things I do. And so music is always music, entertainment. With I can leave this world and just jump into running sound and nothing else. I've had people come up to me at shows and they're like, "Hey man, I said hi to you twice." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, when I got that iPad in front of me and I'm running sound, nothing else like is around me. It's just me and the 5 guys on stage, right? At the show." So beach, music. My third place is the gym. I truly believe, and I know you believe this too, I truly believe that the gym, exercising your body, is what helps grow your mind and complete your mentality every single day. You have to get out and exercise, even if it's just walking. And if you can't walk, there's other things you can do. I just interviewed Madison Cawthorn, which is a District 19 candidate for the Republican side, on our podcast in 239 Live. And one of the first times I
I'd love
met.
to treat him, by the way.
Oh, he's
I mean, I'd love to treat him at the facility.
yeah,
So if
he's
you ever have another conversation with him,
100%,
talk to
100%. He lives here now.
Yeah.
And Cape Coral. And so one of the first times I met him, he came. I was at seated table. I was listening to like a couple of people speak and everything like that. And he rolled past me. And I felt someone grab my arm. And I look over. And Madison's like, "Hey, man, you're not allowed to be more jacked than me." So, short story. Even if you can't walk 10,000 steps a day or 5,000 steps a day, that guy's still in pretty good shape. He's got some guns on him. I know he does his curls and his tricep push downs and everything. So, number 3 is the gym. So I box at Sweet Science Boxing. Shout out to Billy, one of the best coaches. I've been boxing for 6 years. I've ramped that up to like 4 or 5 days a week. Sauna for 30 minutes. Sauna is, dude, I love the sauna. 30 minutes is perfect for the body. It puts you, not just physically, with sweating out toxins and body fat and all that kind of stuff, but mentally. Mentally, when I come out of the sauna, it's like that tunnel vision is much easier to focus on, right?
I sauna 5 days a week.
Me too.
It's my favorite. Like, it's my favorite part of the day.
Me too.
When I do that, I'm just like, oh, okay. Even after my lift is like my second favorite part of the day. Sauna's the first, man.
Yeah. So the boxing gym that I go to, right down a few doors down, the same shopping center, Vitality, which Billy, my boxing coach, owns that as well. He's got the sauna right there. So I literally walk out of boxing a few doors down the shopping center, hit sauna for 30 minutes, which I didn't like it at first because it's hot, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as I figured out how to play the music through the sauna, then it was a game changer. 30 minutes can go by quick. So and then I'll go to and hit weights for 45 minutes I'll pick a few exercises, 45 minutes to an hour. But that 2 hours, 2.5 hours that I take up, that's my personal time. That's me time. That I know will always put me in the right mind state. So you got to exercise. That's got to be part of some sort of exercise. It's got to be part of your regimen. And I've noticed with exercising as much as I do, there's also no desire for drinking. So now we got 3 things telling me that drinking and substances and things like that are not going to help you. Why is that a part of your life, right?
Yeah.
You go spend a couple hours at the bar, a couple hours in the gym. What's going to benefit you more?
Yeah.
So
I tell people, drinking a beer is the opposite of drinking a protein shake.
Yeah, it tastes way different. It tastes way different. And so gym's number 3. The 4th place is my career, is my work, which of course is in real estate. I have a passion for real estate. Both my parents were realtors when I was growing up. So real estate, business, I love working. I love being busy. My calendar looks super crazy because I use Google Calendar. It's all color coordinated and I get 30-minute reminders. So that's like my boss. So those are my 4 safe places, which is the beach, church, boxing, and exercise and my career. So church is becoming closer to God is my number one thing. I keep myself grounded with God. God is my number one thing that keeps me going. It keeps me just so faithful and grateful. And the gratitude after each ketamine treatment, of course, came with God. The first person I thanked after each treatment was, "Thank you, God. All glory go to you." And so I keep myself in my safe places, and I would recommend everybody find your safe places and make sure that you stay in those each day, because those are going to be the things that ground you. Those are going to be the things that allow you to do that work after each treatment. And you'll start noticing that you're going to cut things out, which is what I did. And, since then, I got on the November magazine coming up, Southwest Florida Business Magazine. I'll be on the front cover of that, which I'm really excited about because it's their first men's edition. And myself and Gabriel Malcolm, which Gabriel's a real estate agent at Cape Coral, and Malcolm is, of course, everybody knows Malcolm around town. He's one of the greatest lenders in town, and shout out to you guys. But so that's happening. I was also on the Reset and Rise podcast with Amanda Moore, telling my story of how I got Crohn's disease, how I got sick, how I bounced back from that with my career and everything like that. So a lot of things since I cut out the things I didn't need in life after my treatments and doing the work and keep myself in those safe places. It's like blessing after blessing. Yesterday I was up in Ocala for a listing and a new one in Naples and Port Charlotte, and just blessings that have come after me putting myself in a positive state and staying focused on my safe places. It's just so beautiful. Like I'm going to walk out of here today and something awesome is going to happen. And even if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. There's going to be, you get another day.
Heck yeah, man. Well, listen, man, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. From rebirth to leveling up to being closer with God and just completely crushing it in every aspect of your life, man. I salute you, bro. I think this is incredible. Is there anything else that you want to close out with, man? Any message you have for people out there?
Just stay positive. You're either, one of my pastors always says, you're either going into a storm, you're in a storm, you're coming out of a storm. Either way, be grateful, have that gratitude. And if you are struggling in life, anxiety, addiction, depression, anything like that, please contact Charles at My Self Wellness. I promise it will bring you to the door, but you do have to do the work to walk through that door and become that version of yourself that you don't even know is there, but it's there.
I love that. All right, everybody. Well, this concludes another episode of the My Self Wellness Podcast. And just remember, if nobody's told you that they love you lately, we do.